Hey guys, Jarek here, and today we're going to be looking at the WE gas blowback L85. Before we cover the airsoft model, we might as well cover the real steel. Unfortunately, no civilian models ever made it to the United States, so I don't have any actual video of me firing an L85, so I'll have to deal with video game content for now. The L85, also known as the SA-80, standing for Small Arms for the 1980s, is a select-fire gas-operated British assault rifle chambered in 5.56. It has been featured in many video games, including numerous Battlefield titles, the LMG variant in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, a prototype, quote-unquote prototype, in Call of Duty Black Ops, and my personal favorite, the L85A2 in Rainbow Six Vegas 2, which is what you were seeing right now. Again, the game is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas 2. It's currently only $10 on Steam. If you want to get it, it is easily available. The L85 was designed during the 1970s and 1980s. It went into service in 1985, however received much negative criticism for being unreliable. The gun had a tendency to jam, and the British military did absolutely nothing about it till the year 2000 when they went to Heckler & Koch to make it more reliable. Agent K made many different smaller changes to the gun, but the most noticeable changes were to the gas piston. The L85A2 is seen as a reliable, good combat rifle, assuming you were not left-handed. When you receive your WE L85, it'll simply be zip-tied inside of a cardboard box. If there's one thing WE really needs to improve on, it's their packaging. Make sure you buy any of WE's gas blowback rifles from a reliable company so that if anything rattles loose and is broken during shipping, you can get it repaired free of charge and you won't have to fix it out of your own pocket. Not much comes inside of this box. A simple instruction manual that tells you everything you need to know and has a takedown guide, so it is useful. A speed loading tool for the magazine, which I never really use because a regular speed loader works just as well, and of course the WE L85 with an open bolt gas blowback M4 magazine. At this point, WE has become the sort of industry standard in gas blowbacks when it comes to airsoft. Nothing absolutely amazing, but nothing really too bad either. So I was very surprised to see that the externals on the WE L85 were very good. The metal is all stamped steel, and the plastic is very tough polymer. Overall, you'd really have to do a lot to actually break the externals. The internals are more of WE's quality. Nothing amazing, nothing too bad. You might want to upgrade some of the parts like maybe the piston, but in general, I don't think you're going to have too many issues with the internals. And again, like I've said, parts are upgradable. However, something to always mention when it comes to WE is that they don't have great quality control, so make sure you're buying from a reliable company that has a good warranty service, so if anything goes wrong, you can simply RMA it. Or even better, buy it from someone like me that actually tests the guns beforehand so you know the gun you get is going to be functional and not a lemon. I personally myself had issues with my WE L85 when I got mine because the piston already had a pre-crack in it. I did not know this until I started shooting and the piston lodged itself in the bolt. There was no way in hell I was getting the piston out of this bolt, it was simply just stuck there and I had to RMA it and send the bolt back and wait for parts to come back in. Now a lemon is a lemon. It happens and it's simply a minor hindrance and simply gets in the way and you have to wait a week for it to come in and it's kind of frustrating, but it's honestly nothing to take away from the gun. In a worst case scenario, you end up getting a gun, it's a lemon, something's not right, you RMA it, and then the gun works. This gun has one of the larger bolts when it comes to gas blowback rifles, meaning it has very tough recoil springs and a lot of recoil. It's definitely one of the most fun guns I've ever shot. Something that disappointed me about the WE L85 is that the bolt release was non-functioning. You cannot use it to lock the bolt in place and you cannot use it to release the bolt. Now the bolt still does lock back in place when you run out of BBs, so that's good, but you're gonna have to pull the bolt back to release the bolt again. In general, it'd be much easier to use the actual bolt catch like the real L85 has. The sling mounts are on both sides of the WE L85, and the sling mount on the front can be moved to either side. The selector switch is on the left-hand side of the gun. When it is up, it is on semi-automatic, and when it is down, it is on full auto. The selector switch gives a pleasant, loud, audible click. The safety works just like the AEG L85s. Push it towards the right, trigger is locked in place. Push it towards the left, you can pull the trigger. However, unlike the AEGs, this safety actually works and does not get lodged inside of the receiver of the gun. Disassembling the WE L85 is very simple. Remove 3 pins and the upper receiver comes apart from the lower receiver. Now you can do this without using tools, but it's simply easier to use something to push the pin entirely out. Once the upper receiver is removed from the lower receiver, you can pull the recoil spring straight out of the gun. Pull the bolt back so that the cocking handle is lined up with a hole in the back of the receiver and pull it straight out. Then you can access your bolt. With the lower separated from the upper receiver, you can now access the trigger grouping. This is important for many obvious reasons, but one reason not so obvious is that if you overload the magazine, a BB might go into the lower receiver itself and you'll have to get it out. This won't cause any problems, the gun won't jam or anything, but just so you know, don't squeeze in those extra 5 BBs you can fit into the magazine because that might happen. To take the foregrip off this gun, simply push open a hinge on the top, push a button in the front, and pull it right off. This will give you access to the barrel and fake gas piston. To put the gun back together, simply do all these steps in reverse order. The sights on this gun are very similar to that of an M16. In fact, even the carrying handle is the same. They're adjustable left, right, and up and down. However, if you'd like to use an optic, you're a little limited on what you can use. The rail under the carrying handle is not the standard rail, and needs a rail adapter to use normal optics. Otherwise, you're stuck with a WE specific Suzat scope, which costs $100. When I chronoed this gun with propane and 0.2 gram BBs, I found that it was shooting 480 feet per second for the first few shots, and then lowering down to an average of 420 to 430 feet per second. This was on a very cold day. In fact, it was just around freezing, and it was actually snowing earlier that day. On a warmer day, it will average around 440 to 450 feet per second, so you're going to have to downgrade it a little bit if you want to take this into most fields. When I tested the rate of fire, it was averaging roughly around 800 to 850 rounds per minute. Once again, this was on a cold day towards the end of a magazine, so on a warm day, it will average around 900 rounds per minute. That is actually very, very good considering the size of the bolt of this gun, and I gotta tell you, when you're shooting this gun, it has a decent amount of recoil and it is a lot of fun to shoot. When I took this gun back to 100 feet to shoot at the man-sized target, I found it to be a very easy target to hit. But something that became very apparent: this gun does not work very well on full auto in the cold. As you can see, there's some snow on the ground, it was very cold, it was around freezing, really not ideal temperatures or just an ideal environment for a gas gun to work. It would make sense that this gun freezes much faster and worse than other guns because the bolt is so large and requires so much gas. So if you live in a colder environment, it's absolutely needed that you get CO2 magazines. As you can see there, most of the gas was simply spraying out around the bolt, kind of spraying out of the barrel. BBs weren't really going anywhere, and in fact it was so cold and so frozen that the magazine was almost frozen to the piston. So yes, this gun really doesn't work very well in the cold. With that said, let's be realistic. You're never going to use this gun on full auto out in the field. If you're using a gas pullback rifle, it will be on semi-automatic out in woodland. This gun works perfectly fine in the cold on semi-automatic, just not on full auto. So for the rest of this test, I will be going semi-automatic only. As you might have noticed, at 100 feet away, a headshot target is very easy to hit with this gun. At 150 feet away, shooting at a man-sized target, the result is the same. When shooting at the headshot target at 150 feet away, I was very pleased with the results. The BBs were flying incredibly straight, and I was getting very, very tight groupings. It's important to point out I was only using .28s. I would recommend using something a little bit heavier, maybe .35s, possibly up to .40s, and then the BBs will fly even straighter. But even with .28s, the target is still a really, really easy shot. The effective range of this gun is going to be around 200 to 250 feet away. This gun has a very long barrel length, very high velocity, and great hop-up unit. I can easily see you using this as a DMR out on the field. So final conclusion of this gun. Like all guns, this gun does have some cons. However, I think the pros far outweigh the cons of this gun. It completely justifies the cost. On top of that, unless you're in the British military, you will never fire a real L85 as there is no civilian L85 models. So this is the closest you were ever going to get to the real deal. And let's just be honest, gas blowback L85 is completely badass. It's been a very long time since I've held a gun this cool. Long story short, yes, this gun is definitely worth it, especially if you really like L85s. In fact, the only time you shouldn't care about this gun is if you're left-handed. Well, that about sums up my review. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.
Ah!
Oh, come on!
What?
Part of your Banshee hit me and killed me! So I just didn't get any kill there. Bullshit. I had a sniper too, god damn it. Oh, stop shooting at me, person behind you. Ah! God damn it, twice in a row! Oh, okay, no, you killed me. Good, I got a kill there.
Awesome! Hold on, I'm gonna walk behind you. Woo. Say goodbye to Dad.